In the event that you were in a disaster situation and you and your family needed fresh water but didn't have any coming through any of the faucets in your home, you might be so very thankful that you stored some up and had some plan in place for even catchment of water off of, say, the roof or out in the trees or a creek nearby. But I want to talk to you today about filtering and purification of water and just the basics that you need to know in the event that you would have to be tested and need to use those skills. So stay with us. I want to ask you a question. Have you and your family come up with a plan just yet on how to handle the event that perhaps the water runs out and it doesn't come back on for a day or two or even a week or two? And you find yourself in a position of needing to either forage for water or come up with a catchment system on the roof or some sort of strategy other than relying on the faucets and the city system for water. Well, I want to talk through just a few of the basics today that you might need to remember as we prepare for the days ahead, just so you're not even afraid of what might come. You already have a plan in place. So let's just step through a few of these things together right now. First, I want to tell you this, if you didn't know it already, water does not expire or go bad. So if by chance you have chosen to store some water away or you find some stored water that's been tucked away for years and years, it probably will taste a little bad, but it should be just fine if it's filtered and purified. So rest assured, if you come across water that's old or nasty, there's probably a way that you can make that usable to you in the moment that you would need it. Now, it's interesting, I actually have stored water a couple of different ways, and there are so many different ways you can store water, but one of the things that just made sense to me was using the old glass bottles that I had on hand at the house. And so I washed them on the hottest setting in the dishwasher, and I filled them up with water and put them in the bottom of my refrigerator. So the whole bottom area of the refrigerator is filled with water bottles full of water. Now, I just want to show you a couple examples of those. This is one that is just fine, right? But it's interesting, of the about 20 bottles that I have in there, I noticed one day that one of them was looking a little rough, and this is it right here. I want you to see what happens when you don't sterilize something properly. And I'm guessing I sterilized this in the dishwasher well, but probably the little rubbery ring that's inside the cap had just a little bit of bacteria on it. And if I turn this, you're going to be able to see some of the little crap or whatever that is. I don't even know what you call it, but some sort of blackness that is floating around in there. And I am so thankful that it's big enough for me to see. So in the event of an emergency, you want to check the water first and make sure, even if you've stored it in a clean container, you plan to filter it and purify it anyway. All right, so learn from my mistakes and don't do what I did. Okay, next, I want to just tell you, a lot of folks store water in plastic containers, and the darker the plastic, the better. What you're looking for is an opacity, I believe is what they call it, opaqueness to it, where it's dark. The darker the plastic, the better. You'll see those big giant blue barrels that you can buy, and they filter out the light so it keeps the water tasting sweet longer. If you choose to store in some sort of a container that you've got that you're recycling, don't use a container that tastes like something else, or the water will take on that taste. In fact, any kind of plastic container, I really don't recommend, and you can expect the water to taste like plastic no matter what, and no matter what kind of plastic you use. But this is a good example of one to possibly use. This is an aloe vera container, and I've just stripped the sides of it off, and I fill it up with water and keep it in my car with me at all times. This is exactly 1 gallon, and you want 1 gallon per person per day. So you're finding good containers that you can use, and this is a good example of one. I like also the square bottom on it so it doesn't slide around a lot in the back of the car. Now, what you are wanting to look for, and I'll show you on this one, is this little number on the bottom. It's going to be in a triangle of any kind of plastic that you get. And I've been told that it is safe to store water in those Nalgene or whatever that name is, products that you can buy at the store. But if you're recycling any plastic that has been used in the home, you only want the ones that have a number 1 or 2 or 4 on the bottom. You'll look for a little triangle. If you don't see a triangle, don't use it. And certainly milk jugs are not a good option. But if you find one like this that's almost opaque, it's got a little bit of transparency to it, but it also has a number 2 on the bottom, and I feel confident that this would be a good choice to sterilize, clean really well, and then store water in. All right, nextly, I want to talk to you about if you're out in the wilderness or if you have a bug out bag or some such thing that you carry with you in your vehicle. What you're going to want to do is have a plan for each person. Now, the easiest version is this. You're going to want to have a way to filter water and purify water. They're not the same thing. They are both separate from one another, and really you want to filter first. That's getting all the rocks and crud and little chunks of anything out. Clear down to the very smallest degree, and then you're going to want to purify. So if I was out in the wilderness, this is one of the things that I carry in my bag. This little Stanley stainless steel cooker and nesting cups. This is perfect for going over a fire, and it even has a little built-in kind of filter on top that filters out the chunks. So that kind of makes it nice. But if you have something like this, you can boil it over a campfire for 10 full minutes and it should be good to go. When you're out in the wilderness, if you have an old sock that is clean or a t-shirt or a bandana, whatever you have on you could be used as a poor man's filter first to get out the worst of it before you go and boil it for 10 minutes. So you've got your filter and your purification system already with you in your bug out bag. There are some folks that like to store water, and I wanted to just show you 2 options. One is Clorox. Now, I've got this wonderful Clorox here that's lemon flavored. Now, I say that tongue-in-cheek because it's not lemon flavored. I actually bought this on a day that I really wasn't thinking. I was at the store and I was like, oh yeah, if I was going to put Clorox in my water, I would rather it be lemon flavored than regular. Well, it's not a flavoring. And it clearly says on the back of this, we'll get a close-up of it, but it says, do not use lemon or any other version of Clorox for purification of water except for plain straight Clorox with nothing added into it. So if you go out and buy Clorox, remember, get the plain kind. And it can be off-brand. It doesn't have to be real Clorox brand, but the bleach that you buy needs to have no other scent or additives to it. It just needs to be straight Clorox. Also, let me say this. It only takes 8 drops of this to purify an entire gallon of water. So this would last you a really, really long time in a disaster situation. You don't want to use more than 8 drops per gallon. And even if you have a 5-gallon container, only 40 drops of Clorox. That's it. So Clorox is one option for you to purify the water. Another option is iodine tablets. You've seen people use these. I keep these in my bug out bag as an option. And iodine tastes pretty gross. So it actually, you want to get the kind that has 2 different tablets. One tablet is the iodine that's going to actually make the water usable and drinkable. And then one is you put right in with it to take out that gross iodine taste, because it's going to be, I think, pretty metallic tasting. But I actually haven't used these, so I'm not looking forward to it. But I think, you know what, if I needed to, I'd be happy to and do it with great joy. One last option that I want all of you to have for you and every member in your family, and that's this, a life straw. There are a couple of different versions you can go to REI and get. They're great little products. This is an authentic life straw, and you can get it, I think it says on buylifestraw.com. We'll show that website down below the video too, buylifestraw.com, or you can get them on Amazon. But it's a very simple straw. It has even the little directions right on the side of how you use it, but it has a nice little filter at the bottom, and you just take off the cap on the top and suck out whatever it is that you come across. If you come across a mud puddle or a stream or whatever, it's gonna do its very best to make it usable. And when it can't suck anymore, when it's not flowing through, it's time to replace your life straw. But it should last you and your family members a good long while. I recommend you have one of these for each member in your family at the house, and also one in each of their bags. This is one of my bug out bags over here on the side, and I just would recommend keeping one of these in there, as well as that other alternative method that I already mentioned, which was the stainless steel cup and some sort of a bandana or something that you can filter the water with. But life straws for each member in the family, get 2 for each person, and have them in the bug out bag as well as in the home. So, just as a recap, let's just remember, you want to filter the water first, you want to purify it next, and preferably the best way would be to boil it for 10 minutes. Also, if you don't have a way to boil it, you could use iodine tablets or a few drops of Clorox will take care of it as well. And if you store water, the darker the plastic or container, the better. It isn't going to go bad, but it probably will taste like the container, so be ready to filter it and get it a little bit sweetened before you drink it. I hope this helps you. I hope it takes a little bit of the myths and mystery out of how to purify and filter water, and I hope you come up with a plan for your family so that you are not even going to skip a beat in the event of a disaster. Thank you for joining us today. We'll look forward to seeing you on the next video. Until then, God bless you. Share this with a friend and comment below if this has helped you in any way. We love you and we'll see you next time. Before you go, I have to just share this with you. This is out of John chapter 4, verse 13. And Jesus is talking to the woman at the well. He said to her, "Everyone who drinks of this water will be thirsty again. But whoever drinks of the water that I will give him, he'll never go thirsty again. The water that I will give him will become in him a spring of water welling up to eternal life." Now go spread the word.